There was such an abundance that came in the net. I want to preach for a little while today using as a subject, flip the script. It is time for you to flip the script. Alexander Selkirk, a Scottish sailor in 1704, found himself marooned and isolated on an island some 600 miles away from Chile. Wasn't sure how long he was going to survive, how long he was going to last, how long he was going to maintain. He didn't have that much to his name left now that he was stranded. He had a rifle and had a half bag of gunpowder, had a knife, and that's about all he was left with to survive. Found himself every day having to catch fish with a stick that was connected to a knife. And soon he began to feel depression overwhelm his spirit. He's surrounded by nothing more than goats, cats, and rats. His clothes began to soil and began to disintegrate. And he began to convince himself, there's no way I'm going to live through this. My dear friends, seasons changed. And when seasons changed, sea lions came onto the shore of this abandoned island because it was their mating season. When the sea lions came on the shore, he was forced to go into the inner part of the island. And going to the inner part of the island, it made him change the way he thought and processed. And he took the one knife that he had and began to cut up bamboo sticks and cherry wood and began to construct for himself houses that were known as huts. He began to cut off the goats and make for himself clothes to replace the ones that had tarnished and disintegrated and began to fade because of the unrelenting sun. He began to domesticate the cats. And in domesticating the cats protected him from the rats that were encroaching on his territory. And after some time, almost out of nowhere, he was rescued and saved. Looking back at his moments feeling stranded, he reminisced and said it was one of the most purposeful times in his life. That in the season where he thought that his resources were not enough, it challenged and compelled him to begin thinking at a completely different level. Ladies and gentlemen, many of you under the sound of my voice are just like Mr. Selkirk. Because where it is, you feel like you're stranded. You feel like where it is that you are, you have no support mechanism. You've got nobody to push you, and you're in it all by yourself. And as you begin to recount and recollect over what it is that got you to this place, you have no idea how you got to a place where you feel stranded. But one thing that you're beginning to total up and calculate is what you have is not enough for you to make it. Your resources are starting to get thin. The things that you have been using are now becoming overused. The tools that you were putting into place are now rusting. Your clothes are starting to fade away, and you're trying to figure out, how do I make it? But have you ever considered for just one moment that maybe God put you in a place of your greatest challenge so that your greatest challenge would provide your greatest opportunity? Because it is in your greatest challenge that births the greatest opportunity that God forces you to think at a completely different level, to make you reassess what you can live without. How it is that while it is you could complain, there's somebody who's on an island that's more desolate than yours. There's somebody in this room that you still are amazed that in the midst of this recession, with the financial crisis that you've been in, how it is every month somehow you're able to pay the rent.